All right, well, let's begin. Good morning, everyone. It's second to last day of the show, right? I appreciate all of you being here so early in the morning. And I see some I see some Avatier teammates up here that are up and bright early here. They were up a little bit late last night, entertaining with some of the attendees here. And I can't believe the attendees are here. That's dedication, that's HDI, that's help desk. Right? If you work the help desk, that's how you work. So today we're going to be talking about, my name is Nelson Chiquetto, I'm the CEO of Avatier Corporation, and today we're going to be talking about leveraging today's trends to drive the future of identity and access management. I'm co-presenting this PowerPoint, or this presentation, with Rick Allen from Gwinnett Medical Center. He's the VP of Information Security there. Although he's not here, he will be presenting through video. Obviously, you don't see a Rick Allen. It's like this guy's way too early in the morning to be giving this. So a little bit about IT today. I view this is a very interesting, I think, representation of the help desk or representation of IT, right? If when a new product comes out on board, what does your manager do? They ask you to just plug it in and get it working. They don't really look at what that does to the load of the help desk. They don't look at what it does to the load on IT. They just expect you to, hey, you have a new application, let's get it working. But what's happening is there's too many plugs being plugged into the power strip, and think of IT as the power strip, providing all the services, providing the applications to the business. Nobody knows about this until what? Until the power strip pops, right? Until a circuit breaker goes off, right? So everyone thinks it's business as usual. But I'll say that I believe that you're overloaded. And if we allow this to continue, then what's going to happen is the circuit is eventually going to pop. And when it does, that's not a pretty sound, and it's never a good time, right, for you to lose power. This presentation I want to dedicate to Steve Jobs. He's kind of an inspiration to everyone at Avatier in terms of innovation. I think last year we gave a presentation on innovation, and some of the ideas and concepts that we'll be talking about in here all center around innovation. They came from Steve Jobs and Innovator's DNA. If you have not read that book, I highly recommend it. So the agenda for today, I want to look at megatrends that are happening in IT. I want to look at where our company, Avatier, is today. And I want to paint a picture for you of where we believe identity and access management, identity and access governance is moving towards in the future, what we call identity and access management HD, a whole clear, different picture. And then we'll open it up to questions as well. You see some of the Avatier teammates, they're in the dark blue shirts. Feel free to talk to them after the presentation as well. So let's look at the megatrends, the physical pressures that that IT is experiencing today. So what's causing us to do more work than we did, let's say, 5-10 years ago? I think one of the big drivers right now is SaaS. SaaS is creating physical work on IT, and why is it happening? I think it's happening because speed of implementation. So people want to deploy SaaS applications because they're fast. They're extremely efficient, right? There's a savings in terms of capital expenditure. You don't have to buy servers or infrastructure. There's better features compared to traditional products. SaaS matches up with the business model better. But here's two items here, which I know you guys cannot read, and I don't believe this slide is intended for the average person to read. But two items here. The inability for IT to get the resources and support they need to maintain on-premise apps is a big driver for SaaS applications, and also the inability for IT resources to deploy on-premise. Just the time it takes to spin up a server, start up a VMware session, and to load an application. But SaaS has created a backlash for IT departments. Because SaaS applications, you can just turn them on in a second, IT managers and CIOs expect you to just, hey, we're going to buy this application, let's roll it out tomorrow. And what does that do? What's the impact on IT? What's the impact on your help desk? There's huge impacts there. And the impact is back to that plug. We're just going to plug in another application and roll it out. So you have this physical pressure that's being added to your workload today. $94 billion are going to be spent on SaaS in 2014 by small, medium businesses. You will see more and more applications start to move to the cloud. That's just going to be the trend. And we're at the very early stage of that. If you remember back in 1991, 92, when the internet started to take off, that's where we are. When the PCs were, everybody had their HPs and Dells and gateways, and I'm trying to think what other weird computers we had on our desk. We standardized all of those computers. But we're at that early stage right now where SaaS applications are going to be really loaded into our environment, and we need to be prepared to handle that. The other thing that's happening is physical access control. People are moving to single cards for access into buildings, for access into data centers. Some people are using them for time and attendance. If you're in the hospitality business, you're definitely using a card to clock in and clock out. People are using it for parking, for identification, etc. This trend is going to continue. We're going to see the cards being used in more and more places, which is going to drive more and more help desk calls. People are going to forget their badge or leave their card at home, and that's going to cause another help desk call. Another pressure that everyone's feeling right now is facility reduction. By 2020, organizations will provide 6 desks in their corporate office for every 10. How many people, can I see a show of hands of how many people work from home today? So we're about, what, 10% of the audience, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more, are working from home. That trend is going to continue to grow. You can have a virtual help desk, but there's also other workers in your business that can work from home, right? Your sales office, etc. This trend is going to continue to grow. It's going to allow people to live better family lives, but it creates another pressure for IT, puts another pressure on you. Because now not only are you supporting everyone in the office, you're supporting people across multiple time zones and out of their house. Another pressure that we're all feeling is BYOD in the workplace. 6.1 billion mobile devices shipped globally in 2011. 6.1 billion. How could that be? What's the world population? What happens is people I have an iPad, I have an iPhone, I have a Samsung, I had a BlackBerry, right? So we all have multiple devices. On average, the workers that access networks have 6 different devices. Add a laptop to that, right? These are pressures that we didn't have 5 or 10 years ago. So now we have more devices that we're attempting to manage. We have the desktop, the laptop, and all these mobile devices. This is all creating even a greater burden on top of IT and on top of the help desk. The next slide is a little controversial, but Avatier believes, and a lot of people believe, IT as we know it today is going to be eliminated. How we think about IT and how we manage IT is going to change dramatically over the next few years. This is a quote from Forrester. IT organization of 2020 will look very different from what it exists today, if it exists at all. If it exists at all. Think about that. How could my business run without us? I know when I was a help desk manager for Chevron, I felt almost obligated to be at work every day, and I felt like if I didn't show up, the whole place was going to burn down. Does anyone have that feeling sometimes? They feel like if I'm not there at work, I know some of our Avatier employees feel that way, then what's going to happen to my customers, right? You feel that dedication. But imagine IT moving out into the cloud. The apps being supported not by us, but by the vendor. Your mobile apps. How many people have ever called someone for an app that they downloaded onto their iPhone? Can I see a show of hands? Or onto their Samsung device? One person. Yeah, typically you download it. If it doesn't work, what do? You download another app, right? You don't call for support. That trend, think of that trend moving into the corporate workplace or the universities, the business. I'm going to play a video here from one of our customers. This is Rick Allen from Gwinnett Medical Center.
The goal for Identity Enforcer truly is to get humans out of the way. I want to take our provisioning team and let them do other things. Take all the mundane tasks that they do, create a login here, delete a login there, and let Identity Enforcer do all of that. Then take the entire IT department out of the way and just let the end user and their management determine what the appropriate levels of access are and have the system do it for them.
Rick is talking about one of the products that we have, Identity Enforcer, which automates onboarding and offboarding. But the idea is to automate as much IT as possible. That's Avatier's goal. We don't stand up here and we say we're an identity management vendor. We're a password reset vendor. That's not our mission. That's not on our dog tags. For those of you that picked up a dog tag at our booth, we automate IT operations. We develop software and provide services to automate IT. That's our mission. I'd like to share with you this next slide. Our environments, and this was very similar to what we have at Avatier. We had BlackBerry servers up until a few months ago. We recently removed that. We have Exchange, we have Office, we have Oracle, a CRM, and we have remote control or remote access through terminal services. This, I think, exemplifies what a lot of your businesses look like today. But in the future, and I'm going to throw up some other icons here. This is not a commercial for those other companies, but just imagine this happening, right? So today, we see our BlackBerry servers disappearing. They're being replaced with ActiveSync or with something like that. If that's happening to you guys, raise your hand. Are you guys seeing that happening in the trend, right? That's definitely a trend. We're seeing things like Exchange disappear. Do we need Exchange inside our glass house or inside of our corporation? A lot of people are like, no, don't ever let that disappear. That's our lifeblood. You know what? It's just a headache. Mail is not going to make you more money or lose money. If it's not working, it is. But it's not a strategic application. It doesn't allow you to close more business per se. Mail is mail. Imagine that being replaced with Office 365 or Gmail or something else out in the cloud. That's the trend. That's where things are moving towards. How many people have already moved their mail out to the cloud? Okay, we see a show of hands. It's just starting. For you that didn't raise your hand, get prepared, get ready, because there's nothing that a corporation has, there's no benefit to having that internal, unless you're a super secure, highly secure environment where you need that data right next to you. Office. Imagine Office being replaced with Office 365 or Google Apps or anything else that's out there. Do you need those Office applications on your desktop, on your laptop? Has anyone ever played with Keynote or with numbers on an iPad? You can do some basic things. This presentation actually was generated on Keynote. It wasn't generated on the iPad. But the trend will be that those applications will move to mobile devices in the future so that you can actually do those type of tasks on your mobile device. Your financial systems. Right now, people have PeopleSoft, they have SAP, they have Oracle installed, and Lawson, and many other applications that are out there. But imagine those applications being moved into the cloud. And again, I'm not promoting Workday, but I'm just saying they're a great example of moving the HR and the financials out into the cloud. And then Citrix. Well, if we just moved all of our applications out in the cloud, or if we're running terminal services, do we need to publish our applications to our remote users, or can they just access them from the cloud? So look at the environment becoming more and more simplified. Look at support moving out further away from IT. Be prepared for this trend. Retool your thinking, retool who you are today to prepare for this new trend. I know this is what Avatier is doing. And by that, I don't mean IT is really completely disappearing, but our role is going to change, and we need to be prepared for that. So the question is, where do people go in a crisis? When they start to see their world changing, and we have all these IT pressures, we have pressures of BYOD, we have pressures of cards, we have pressures of SaaS applications coming, people turn to Geico? No, nobody's going to turn to Geico to save you there. Let's see. Who do you turn to here? Do you turn to Flow? Flow's not going to help you out of this one either, I don't think. what happens is people turn to automation. And a lot of that automation is found in identity management. Okay? There's lots of drivers for identity management, but at the end of the day, it's to streamline those manual processes that you have right now to avoid any of the rework that occurs when you provision a new user, right? Rework, what do I mean by that? I mistyped the middle name or mistyped their last name. I created a bad exchange mailbox. Now I need to delete that mailbox and recreate it. That's rework. How many people are automating their onboarding and offboarding today? Okay, about 5 or 10% of the audience right now. This trend is going to continue to increase. How many people are happy with their onboarding and offboarding today? Okay, all right, so that's, no hands went up in the audience. So it shouldn't be that difficult. It should be simple, right? Let me just go through a couple drivers real quick. So people buy identity management systems typically for 4 reasons, right? It's efficiency, right? Let's make my environment more efficient. Let's save some money because I have 4 or 5 people doing this across multiple systems and disciplines. I want to improve the security of my organization. I want to make it more secure. Or I want to become more compliant, and let's get through our audits faster. Now I have the data to back up what's needed for my auditors as they come in. So as we look at the agenda, we've gone through the megatrends. We've talked about that. We know what the pressures are. We know what's happening. We know that people are going to be turning to identity and access management to try to alleviate some of this, whether it's in the apps are in the cloud or whether they're on premise. We need to automate the onboarding and offboarding. So let's look at what Avatier has done today from an innovation standpoint of view to address that. And a brief 3-slide commercial, and then we'll get into where we believe the future is going. But a lot of people don't know Avatier. So I'm going to let Rick talk for us and others at Gwinnett.
Avatier is very easy to work with. The support team, I can't say enough good things about. They're there for us for whatever we need. You get back into development. Development has a commitment to doing the right thing for us. They very much take over that integration point. They work with our vendors so that their solution fits in. It's not left to me to try to pull those 2 things together. Then you get into management. Management's very flexible. They work with us so that we can do the things that we need to do within the budget that we have available.
The support I get from Avatier is leaps and bounds above what other software companies provide.
Very good. So that's a few customers talking about support of these type of products. In 2001, we introduced a password reset solution for Active Directory only. Now that application supports over 27 languages, works across over 100 or I would say close to 500 different connectors. We've implemented this in very large environments, and we've integrated with almost every custom app you can think of. 2007, we had a client come to us and said, hey, Nelson, we need a better way to do user provisioning. So we introduced a user provisioning product in 2007, and most recently, 2012, we introduced our access certification or validation product. And this is a way that you can validate that people have only the rights that they should have, which completely helps out with the audits that you guys are facing. So I want to go through a few of these real quick in a little bit more detail. Password Station. This product's being used by large organizations such as Marriott, Starbucks. That's why I'm drinking Starbucks. I don't know if we have anybody from Starbucks in the audience right now. But this product is being used by very large organizations to do one thing, and that is to get people back to work quickly without having to call help desk. About 30% of almost all help desk calls are, I forgot my password, I can't log on. These solutions are only as good as your rollout. So you get out of it what you put into it. So the key is to get everyone to use it and to, as help desk professionals, for us to turn people back to the solution, back to self-service to avoid that help desk call. Sure, help them once, slap their wrist and let them use the tool the next time, right? So a lot of people are using good incentives to get people to use the Password Station product. Here's a little video about Password Station.
We started in 2004 with Password Station.
Password Station connects to a huge module that we use that is very important in the hospital. It's called McKesson Care Manager, and it has a lot of different modules in it, and we also have a SunQuest connector. And these were not out of the box for Avatier, but they did assist us in customizing them to fit our environment.
We've rolled Password Station to every desktop in the organization, which is almost 4,000. We also have it published so that any of our physicians from their office can reset their password.
Well, one of the biggest pieces, I think, for Password Station is that it syncs passwords. So instead of the users having multiple passwords and having to remember them all, when they reset through Password Station, all of their passwords are the same. So their network login, their McKesson Care Manager login, their SunQuest lab system login is all the same. And it's much easier on the end user when they reset through Password Station.
We have 800 physicians and their associated staff that have access to information within the hospital system. All of them manage their own passwords through Password Station.
It's frustrating sometimes when you're trying to get things done, but you're providing patient care, so everything's always top priority. Everything's always stat. You need it ASAP. So it can be really hard sometimes to prioritize things because everything is very, very important, and it could impact somebody's life. So it can be challenging.
And what they're talking about there at Gwinnett is, one password now for all my clinical apps, for my medical apps, for my Active Directory, et cetera. That really makes the hospital run a lot more efficient. Doctors don't need to remember many passwords. And then you have that security there. I'd like to talk about another product that we introduced in 2007, and that is Identity Enforcer. And what it does is it takes your IT department and turns it into the Apple App Store or Amazon.com. It allows your users to search for what they need to do their job. So think of this as self-service access requests. A lot of people have heard of a service catalog. This is an actionable service catalog so that when people request access to PeopleSoft or SAP, after it's been approved, people receive that right. So it's not just opening and closing a ticket in your help desk ticketing system, which it, of course, can do. This product has been growing amazingly well for Avatier. We have very large customers using this. Miller Coors is one of our good customers using this. $7 billion worth of beer that's ordered by the distributors, they use this tool to order that beer. It's very simple. They see a picture of the beer that they want to order, they drag it into the shopping cart and they check out, and pallets of beer show up at the distribution center. We just recently deployed this out to Optus, which is the second largest telco in Australia. They have over 280 apps that they're allowing their users to go provision themselves or request. Let me have you guys listen to Rick and those guys about what they're doing with this.
We had to look for something that was industry standard, something that could be supported easily, and something that we could roll out with the staff that we had. Since then, we've grown. We've added a whole lot more. We've also added more demands on Avatier. So on top of resetting passwords, we're now also creating new users, transferring people, and terminating people.
Identity Enforcer is incorporated with our Lawson system, and it is incredibly, incredibly easy to use. It's connected with the Lawson HR data that comes through, and it Avatier automatically generates the user accounts and adds, the different access levels, and it's just amazing, and it's saved us so much time.
Avatier's icon-driven system makes it easy. How easy? Our staff of 3 handled 11,000 transfer requests in the last 3 months without breaking a sweat.
It's also very helpful for terminations because it can disable the account automatically. So if you have, someone that leaves on not the best terms, then it can disable that account right then and there.
Our turnover, like we talked about before, is over 11,000 in a 3-month period. When you start having that many requests, you can't add enough people to keep up. We needed automation. So we went looking at our partners first, and Avatier had a tool that met our needs and exceeded our expectations.
We are bringing on a lot of new physician offices and employees. We're growing rapidly, and Identity Enforcer is helping us to keep up with our growth rate.
What's great about that story, Kelly Keeler, she never really was in IT before she became the project lead for this product. So with the minor assistance or a few weeks of implementation services from Avatier, we were able to hook up Lawson, which is their HR system. We looked at all account creations, we're looking at all terminations, and as we detect those, as we see a termination, we grab that information, and then we go take that information and terminate the account across Active Directory, across all their medical apps, etc. So in addition to the pretty face, the store, with all the icons that people can choose and pick what they need, we also have full lights out automation for basic roles, birthright roles, departmental roles, whatever you want to call that, so people get provision to all the different systems. The passwords are synced right off the bat. If you disable an account or if a person's being terminated, that can be scheduled through the HR system. The help desk doesn't need to do anything except maybe look and see that the ticket's been closed, confirm that the ID has been disabled or deleted. In terms of the store side of it, the icon side of it, I always say this, guys, you can't manage what you can't see. And a lot of us who do not have a business service catalog and who do not know what are all the apps that people need or all the assets that people need, the mobile devices, the laptops, etc., you're managing your IT department basically in the blind. You're driving a car with fogged up windows. You don't know what's there, but being able to see this and visualize it now makes it very easy for you to now know what your users need. And Avatier's now taking that technology that we've been doing since 2007, and we're saying, now we have a store. What's next? What do we do next now that we have the store? We have to have a better way of managing that store. We need to know what's in the store that should be taken off the shelves, what's in the store that's not being requested, what's in the store that's taken a long time to get approved, and we need to clean that up. What we call in-store intelligence. We're announcing a patent for this type of capability and a better way to manage the store. You're doing this again today, guys. You're putting stuff on the shelf, you're taking stuff off the shelf. The laptop that your users use today is not the laptop they used 5 years ago. It's not the one they're gonna use 5 years from now. So why not make this visual? Most people don't wanna make it visual because they don't wanna have to manage the inventory, the store. And the store is not just the physical devices like that. It's access to your Lawson or PeopleSoft system or Oracle financial system or HR system. It's the access as well. Access to Active Directory or to all the different systems that you need. So Compliance Auditor, once again, we're changing the game for access certification. We introduced a very visual business service catalog that's actionable, and we added some management capabilities to that store. Compliance Auditor, we said, let's look at access validation, and let's change the game on how we validate access within an organization. Let's put up a picture of the person that we're validating the access of. Let's put up pictures of all the things that they have, that they own. A picture of SAP, a picture of an iPhone if they own an iPhone, a picture of Oracle if they have Oracle. So when you're looking at this, it's very picture driven, it's very simple to use. And we're definitely doing that with Compliance Auditor. And we're taking that same in-store intelligence for managing the store, and we're gonna bring higher definition analytics to access validations and verification. When I look at our Gartner Magic Quadrant of identity management, this is what we've created. We look at two axes. One is operational efficiency, which is very important, and two is time to value. And when we look at this, we say, hey, any vendor can get you here. It's just how much time are you going to spend once you're there maintaining it, and how long is it going to take you to get there? So if we look at this, the best thing to do is to continue doing what you're doing right now for provisioning. It's the fastest thing to do in terms of time to value. It's not very efficient because you still have rework. So a lot of people they're comfortable here, they stay over in this area, and they continue to do their manual processes. Then they have a bright idea and they say, hey, let's build our own, let's put this all in SharePoint, okay? And we'll manage it all through SharePoint, or we'll write our own application. It's going to be very efficient. It'll be the most efficient for your organization because it's built for your organization specifically. The problem is, it's going to take you forever to get there. So a lot of companies, they turn to legacy identity management systems. You know all the big names, I don't need to say them. And what that means is, guess what? You're going to pay someone lots of dollars and you're going to spend years building a system that basically fits all your business process and rules. The application will be very technology-centric, very technology-focused, and it's going to be very pragmatic meaning that you're going to need to program things as your business changes. So some people say, well, but Microsoft and others have great solutions out there. Let's look at kind of the next generation that's out there, what we call legacy identity management solutions. And while they offer a quicker time to value, it's harder to get them built around your core business processes and make it all work. Again, these are very IT-centric solutions. You're writing scripts, Perl scripts, Unix scripts to make this type of stuff work. At Avatier, what we did is we said, how do we make this thing as simple as possible? Configuration over development. Let's not take an IT-centric view of the world. We grew up from the help desk. Let's make this user-centric. Let's make it something that our users can do. I look at our store and I say, hey, if my mom and dad can shop for clothes on the internet or on Amazon.com, and my kids can download applications to the App Store, then why can't my users pick and choose what they need when they need it in a very simple business service catalog? So that's what we strive for at Avatier. We made it very user-centric. We removed the pragmatic approach, although we allow you to hook in through web services or write code. But we said, let's get this, remove the pragmatic side, and let's make it dynamic. Let's give people a structure that's flexible, that they can bend and choose to make their environment work.
When I first came into this role and started working with Avatier, I didn't know much at all about IT or information security at all. And the Avatier support team has been a huge help to me. They've been very, very patient, and they've spent a lot of time with me and helped me learn this application and to craft it to what we need for our organization.
We manage thousands of roles. We do that with 3 people.
We handle around 11,000 requests every quarter, and with a staff of only 3, Identity Enforcer is a huge help in making sure that we answer all the requests that come through and that we get the access that's needed for all the employees and physicians in the organization.
There's no need in going to the market to look for other solutions when you have a partner that's worked with you and worked successfully with you that offers the exact same thing.
I'm really comfortable with Avatier and the software, and is really doing a lot for our organization. We're in a good place with it, and I think it's just going to grow. I think we're going to continue to add new systems, new applications, and to use it in a lot of different ways. It's been a really good product.
I didn't hear mention HTML, writing a script. I didn't hear any of that in this presentation. So it's refreshing to hear someone be able to deploy this and give it to somebody that knows nothing about identity and access management. The next few slides, we're going to get into what the future beholds. I gave away the answer there. What do these successful companies have in common? LinkedIn, Amazon, Facebook. The one thing that they all share that's really unique is they all have a strong self-service foundation. Think about that from a social media, your Facebook, your LinkedIn. You get to do that yourself. In some respects, it's self-serving, but it's also self-service, right? Amazon and Apple App Store, it's self-service, right? And these companies have really strived to do very well in self-service. What we've done at Avatier was we wanted to marry self-service with automation. So you can use a data feed to create accounts and reset passwords or unlock accounts or create accounts or transfer them, delete, etc. Or you can allow self-service to do it, or you can use the old-fashioned administrator and go in and I need to manually delete this user right now. But the concept is we have a platform, applications, a family of applications that are shared services, and we work across all different systems that you have in your environment. Our view of the world, as we move into this next few slides, it's like, where is this all going? What do we see happening to us? I think the number one thing is to become aware. Awareness is kind of an interesting topic. You can't become aware if you think you're doing a great job or you think everything is going along great, right? Awareness is not that way. Can you guys think of something that's become aware? Let me see if I can refresh your memory here. Okay, Skynet, right? It became aware and it took over, right? So the reason I bring this up is because along with awareness is be awareness, right? Be aware of what's happening in your environment and what is changing, and be able to adapt to that change. The hardest part is becoming aware. Think of that Electrical plug, we just keep plugging more things in. We're not aware. We're just letting management continue to pile on more and more tasks from us. Why? Because when I look at where we are, I look at IT like this. You know, if you put a frog inside of a pan of water and you start to turn up the water, the frog just sits there. He lays there. He adapts. That's what we're doing. We're adapting to all the new services that are required from us. And we're not saying, hey, hold up, let's look at how we can change some of this, or give me more people to support this. You've added all these new applications. Oh, but you just installed them in a second. They're in the cloud. You just turn them on, right? No, it creates a demand on us. I need to warn you guys, no frogs were harmed during the creation of this presentation. But this is what happens if you don't become aware, right? You just boil up, and we don't want that to happen.
Medicare and Medicaid are our two major payers. Those reimbursements are going to continue to go down. Couple that with increased demand. Baby boomers are aging at a rate of about 3 to 4 million a year, added to the Medicare and Medicaid rolls. We have to be smart with the money we spend. We have to do everything that we can to push our costs down.
And what Rick's saying there is, look, the government's subsidizing a lot, but that's shrinking, and the baby boomers are growing. I need to do something. He became aware way before he ran out of money. And I think that's a really insightful, very unique, interesting man, and very exciting to see people like that. Let's talk about IAM-HD, or what we call Universal Assignment Management. We need a new expanded holistic definition of identity and access management. If we look at IAM today, most IAM solutions manage your applications, okay? And that's about where they stop. When we look at identity and access management, we see a broader picture. We see your assets, your biometric devices, your subscriptions, your physical. How many people have some type of, well, everything in SaaS is typically a subscription, right? And that stays on after the person's terminated unless you notify that vendor to say, I don't need this license of Salesforce.com anymore, right? I don't need this license of Google Apps or whatever it is. So we are going to get into more of a world where we want to save the company money and justify our jobs, and that's going to be by locking down and closing everything that you have. Same with assets and mobile devices. I bet companies, your organizations are spending hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in wasted cell phone charges or data charges, data plan charges. We need a better system. The whole concept with identity and access management is to stop managing the identity and start managing the assignments. So it's your assignment to all these different devices that really needs to be managed, and that needs to be the central and the focus of this. We have a white paper in the back that talks a little bit about this. I don't know if we have those back there, but we do have some at the booth. Feel free to stop by and learn a little bit more about that. IAM-HD gives a clearer and broader picture of your business environment. And how many of you have or do not have a high-definition television in your environment? And you're perfectly happy with that, right? Because you have not seen the high definition or experienced it or used or watch everything on high definition. You can't upgrade normal. If you're happy with normal, and that's where people are, then you're going to stay with your non-high definition view of the world. And what I'm challenging people to think about is, what if there's a clearer picture out there? What if there's a better way, a 360 way to view my environment and look at my world? Get the picture. IAM-HD. So a little bit about Rick, 4,133 employees. It took about 6 months to roll this out. They did it with half of an FTE. They were doing it pretty much part-time. So I wanted to share that with you guys as well and turn it over to questions. So thank you all very much for your time this morning. Any questions? Yes, go ahead, please. So the question is, in our environment or general identity management, are web services required to connect to your applications? And the answer to that is sometimes yes and sometimes no. Databases have APIs that you just talk to the database. SAP, you can talk to it through BAPI calls. LDAP, you can talk to LDAP calls. So that no web services are required to talk to those systems. Other systems like an AS400 or Unix devices, in our implementation, we use web services. We decided to do that as opposed to an SSH script or shell script because we get two-way communication and it's a stronger connection. So we get a lot more richer information. It's also faster. Did that answer your question? And the question is, if applications don't offer a web service or API, what's the alternative? And that depends on the application. We've integrated tons of custom applications that were databases with people with IDs in there, and we worked with the development teams to integrate with those IDs. If you end up with a VAX VMS system, or that's a bad example because we have a connector for that, but if you end up with a system that there literally is no API, then you can move to screen scraping to get that information. That's what a lot of our competitors do normally. And we avoid that at all cost at Avatier and try to figure another way to connect to your system that's stronger than and not dependent upon the timing of items showing up on a screen and inputs on a screen. Did that answer your question? Thank you. Good. Any other questions? Yes, sir, in the back.
So if I want to...
That's a great question. I implemented the standard desktop for Pacific Bell, and that was one of the questions that we were struggling with or dealing with. And I think we ended up settling on power user. So you could think of our application as, the question is, what level of access do I need on the desktop to control which applications are deployed to the desktop? And at Pacific Bell, we ended up standardizing on power user. You could think of our application as a proxy server, meaning it's logged in as a domain administrator or enterprise admin. Any request sent to this that you want us to perform, we need to make sure we have enough rights to perform that request. We just did a 50,000 user proof of concept where we had the right access on the ID, but they used GPOs to lock down the OU that we were under. So that prevented us from doing some of the things that we needed to do. We eventually cleared that. But the bottom line is if you would want a system to manage that, I believe the answer is power user. And Denny, I know, heads up our support team. He could probably answer that offline as well. Any other questions? Well, very good, guys. Again, thank you all for your time. Make sure you stop by the booth. I know we have a chance to win an iPad mini, and I think we're giving that away in here if you guys are here today. Somebody bent their card. Don't draw that one. There we go. All right. She's not even in. She can't even win an iPad. So a great person to draw. There we go. Good job. This is all random. And the winner, if you're here, is Jason Wilson, of all people. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Jason Wilson, the early bird catches the worm. Thank you all for attending.